And I want to respond to one other thing that Ed said about transfers and resources. One thing you said in your opening comments, you mentioned helping the working poor. The idea that we have working poor in this country is, I think it just leaves such a bad taste in my mouth that we have people that are hardworking, working full-time, maybe full year, and they can't lift their families out of poverty. We absolutely need to think about it.
Let me stop you there and go to Ed, because the question was directed at you, and the last thing that Elise said goes to the point of our motion, that they can't lift themselves out of poverty, that would be the question of mobility. She paints a very compelling, again, intuitive picture of that. What's your response to that?
Well, I think there are many people who have a difficult time lifting themselves out of poverty. If you're sick, you're going to have a difficult time. If you have mental illness, drug addiction, many different things. If you were convicted of a crime and you're an ex-convict, it can be difficult for you to lift yourself out of poverty. But there are many, many, many people who can lift themselves out of poverty. Tens of millions of Hispanic immigrants have come across the border. They were making $2, $3 an hour. They're making $7 to $15 today, many of them, many more than that, and they have lifted themselves out of poverty. But I would like to say one more thing.
Actually, I want to go back to, I just wanted to have you as an interruption to that point, and then I will come back to you. Elise, I just want to come back to you at that question. All right, conceding that some people can't lift themselves out of poverty, what does that have to do with people being very rich at the top?
Well, if we think about income distribution, let's just say the pie hasn't gotten bigger and hasn't gotten smaller from rising income inequality.
Bigger.
Let's say the pie stay the same size. And if we know that a larger share of the pie is going to the top, that means that there's less there for everybody else. When there's less there for everybody else, there's fewer resources going, particularly to the bottom, is what we're going to talk about here. Particularly at the bottom, there's fewer resources, and parents cannot afford to make those investments. Children are living in far more stressful home environments. There's unemployment is more common. There's less stable housing. And all of those things provide a situation where children just do not have the same opportunities to succeed.
Scott Winshop, in your opening statement, I think I heard you also agree with your opponents while you're arguing against this motion. You agreed with them that there is a threat to opportunity. Did I hear you correctly in that?
You heard me correctly that I do agree that we have upward mobility that is too limited in the United States. So the figures that I like to cite, if you're born in the bottom fifth, raised in the bottom fifth, you only have about a 30 to 40% chance of making it either to the middle class or better than that. That's far too low in my book. But it's a leap to say that the reason for that limited upward mobility is because of income inequality or because income inequality has risen. And I think that's the fundamental question today. I'm as concerned as anybody about how do we increase upward mobility rates. But I just think if you're talking about bang for your buck, focusing on bringing the incomes at the top down is just not going to buy you much.
Okay.